Syracuse basketball's real season is about to begin.
You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into Locked On Syracuse. I'm Jackson Holzer. Thank you for making us your first listen of every single day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. And of course, we're always free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And on today's show, we are joined by Neil Adler from Inside the Loud House. We are recording this on Wednesday morning following Syracuse basketball's victory over Monmouth. But you guys are watching or listening to this on Thursday, and I hope that we all get financial compensation after watching Syracuse's game against Monmouth, but that's neither here nor there because the real season is about to begin for Syracuse basketball because they're headed to Vegas on Monday, and their first opponent is the Houston Cougars. Their next opponent is Kansas. Now, that game might actually be pretty interesting, so stay tuned later on for when we break down that one. And also, we'll begin with this. What needs to improve for Syracuse basketball heading into this trip against Vegas? All that and more coming up here on today's edition of Locked On Syracuse. And before we get to everything, this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. Neil, thank you so much for joining me here on Wednesday morning. Now people are listening to this on Thursday. So, 4 games into the season, 3 blowouts, 1 non-blowout, which was the last one against Monmouth. We all know why Syracuse did not blow out Monmouth, and that is because Tyler Betsey did not play. Of course, that's got to be the reason. But anyway, housekeeping before I throw it over to you. Adrian Autry does expect that Tyler Betsey will play on the trip. So we'll keep an eye on that. Tyler Betsey had a boot on his left foot during the Monmouth game. But Neil, what needs to improve for Syracuse heading into this trip?
First of all, Jackson, thanks as always for having me on your fabulous pod. Appreciate you, brother. What needs to improve? Well, I'm going to go out on a limb and say the free throw shooting is probably up. I know. This is why you have me on your pod, dude, because I'm like breaking news and like super analytical and like I say things that no one else would say. Yeah, I don't think they played awful against Monmouth. Monmouth's a feisty, scrappy team, but you can't. Monmouth shot 8 fewer free throws, but made 1 more. That's a problem. And Syracuse, it was close in the first half, and credit Monmouth for that. And that one player for their team went off, and they built it up to 14 in the second half, but they couldn't put Monmouth away, and free throw shooting was a large part of that. And so free throw shooting, rebounding. I'm pretty sure that Monmouth early in the game had they were up. It might have been like +9, +10 at one point. I feel like I was tweeting about. I think Syracuse ended up +1, but they're going to play Houston, which is one of the most physical and top defensive teams in the country. And so if they're only out rebounding Monmouth, no disrespect to the Hawks, by 1, that doesn't bode well. They shot pretty well from the field and from 3. Turnovers weren't great. They were just kind of stagnant. And, maybe it's a blessing in disguise to have 1 close game before Vegas because they did, like you said, have 3 blowouts, which was encouraging to me because last year all their non-conference games early on were really close. And I was like, yikes. So they had some blowouts this year, and then they have a close one, but they squeak it out. Hopefully Betsey's back. I agree with you. They did not, Tyler's a good reserve, but, they're not going to have a make or break season whether Tyler's in or not. But I think they're better off without him.
You mean with him?
With him, excuse me. Yeah. He averages like 7 points a game, and he can shoot the 3, and he's physical forward. But yeah, Houston, that's a scary matchup unless Syracuse, they need to defend well. They need to play physical, cut down on their turnovers, and they need to hit free throws. It's really that simple.
Adrian Autry, in his post-game press conference, downplayed the free throw shooting a little bit. The team is shooting 61% from the free throw line through 4 games.
Right.
That is dead last in the conference right now.
Right.
I'm not going to go there. And by there, a specific year with Syracuse. Someone in the comment section mentioned that following the game against Monmouth. It just can't happen. Like I don't want to hear the excuses either. Like, there is no excuse to it. It's, you're a Division I basketball player. Like, make your free throws.
Right.
Like, we're 4 games into the season now. Like, the playtime is over. Like, if you think that you can get away with shooting 19 to 33 from the free throw line against Houston and expect to win, or even expect to keep it competitive, you got another thing coming. And also, you're not going to get 33 free throw attempts against Houston. You might get 15 if you're lucky.
Yeah.
They are a very physical team, but it's still very difficult to get anything on them. So
and it just, what scares me or concerns me, Jax, great points, is that when they're playing better teams and it's in crunch time, and let's say Syracuse is in games, like who are we going to have in? Like Donnie Freeman was 12 of 14 against Monmouth. He saved them. They were 7 of 19 otherwise. That's like 33%. That's embarrassing. And I agree with you. There's no excuse. And I know Syracuse, it's like kind of a long time narrative about their free throw shooting, blah, blah, blah. But other teams, hey, listen, what was Kansas in the 03 title game against Syracuse? They were terrible from the free throw line, like 8 of 20, I think. But yeah, like Kyan Anthony's played really well and he's a ball handler, but like, that's scary. You know, obviously Starling just came back. You've got other, Bryce Affairs, I think, shot 2 free throws this year and he missed them both. And that was a bad time to miss them. And he plays good defense. So like, I'm cool with him being in the game here and there. Luke Fennell barely played, the other, like who they're just, is it going to be like a hack-a-shack, like strategy against Syracuse? I say that half jokingly, but like,
I would foul JJ Starling every time he goes to the rim. Every time I would put him on his you-know-what, because he can't make free throws. It's one thing with William Kyle having kind of an unorthodox form. I can almost accept that William Kyle is a bad free throw shooter because William Kyle does so many other things for this team. He is an elite defender. He is a lob threat on every offensive possession. He can run up and down the floor. I have been pleasantly surprised with William Kyle. So if he can't make free throws, you know what? I was not expecting a perfect player, and we kind of knew going in that William Kyle was not a good free throw shooter. Fine. But JJ Starling, 2 air balls from the free throw.
That was weird.
2 of them.
That was weird.
I mean, it's bad enough to airball 1. So airball 2.
I mean, I know he's probably a little rusty, but the airball a free throw.
It ain't rust.
Why does he have that hitch?
I think it's an injury. I think it's it's what he had early in his career.
Yeah.
But regardless, I don't know what to say.
I mean, William Kyle was 1 of 2. I'm just looking at the stats, 1 of 2. But Starling was 2 of 5, Anthony 2 of 5, Zephyr 0 of 2, and Nate George was 2 of 4. So like that's scary. Those are a lot of their guards, their ball handlers. And Nate George had a really good game. I mean, he had 12 points, 9 assists, and just 1 turnover. But I'm concerned about that. Again, when they're playing good teams late in the game, if they're hanging around, like,
you can't make free throws.
That's a problem.
You have,
and I agree with you. It's not like, why can other teams make free throws but Syracuse can't? And I'm not saying Syracuse never does. And like, we could look at their historical percentages. And I feel like a few years ago they were actually a pretty good free throw shooting team. And last year, they were 70%. And I feel like maybe I said it to you on your pod or just whatever, somewhere else, but it's like, they don't have to shoot like 80% from the free throw line but like low 70s would be nice. Like 61, that's not going to work. It's not going to work. They're giving away too many points, free points. It's empty possession, so to speak. So but I don't understand. And look, I love Coach Red and all those guys, but like, why would he downplay the free throws? They missed 14 of 33. That's like, what is there to downplay? I'm not.
He was like talking about defense and effort. Like, this was not the second exhibition game effort. I genuinely believe that Syracuse did not play a poor game against Monmouth. I thought they played fine. I thought they were a little bit out of rhythm.
Right.
Justin Ray goes off.
He did.
And you just left way too many points at the free throw line. If you hit 7 more free throws, you win this game by 12 points, which wouldn't have been great, but
more comfortable.
We would have said, okay, Justin Ray went off. Good practice when you're going to play a real team in Houston coming up, which we'll talk about, where they might have a player that goes off, and you're just going to have to deal with it as a team overall. I don't think they played a poor game, but you left too many points available at the free throw line, and that's why Monmouth had a chance at an upset here. You have Kyan Anthony, who can make a shot from Ontario, but is shooting 47% from the free throw line. You have JJ Starling, who at one point in the second half, he got a mulligan on a free throw attempt because they committed a lane violation. And he still missed the free throw.
Yeah.
I don't know what more I think we can really add, but that's the biggest thing. Whether Adrian Autry wants
it's all about reps, right? In practice, reps, or is it a mental thing?
It's a mental thing. It can't be reps. What, are they not practicing free throws?
I'm sure they are. I'm not at practice. I will fully admit that, but I guarantee you they practice free throws.
They have to. If they're not practicing free throws, then I question their desire to want to be Division I basketball players.
I don't have $1 million in the bank, but I'll bet you $1 million they're practicing free throws, dude.
I'm with you on that. I'll go into debt that they're practicing their free throws. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say they don't care about free throw shooting. That's not true. I think that's not fair to them. I think they absolutely do. But right now, through 4 games, it seems like it's in their head. And I don't know how you solve that. This is the yips. This is you're in the bunker and you can't figure out how to get the ball on the green. It's just stuck in the sand and you have no idea what to do. And you better figure it out fast, because coming up here on Locked On Syracuse, we're going to talk about Syracuse's next opponent in the Houston Cougars. Spoiler alert, this team is pretty good. So stick with us here on Locked On Syracuse. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of a game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Now, I hate to say this, as obviously a big Syracuse fan. I want Syracuse football to beat Notre Dame on Saturday. I think that would be absolutely hilarious. But let's be real for a moment. They are 35-point underdogs on FanDuel. That's not exactly boding well for their odds. You could bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets just for picking Notre Dame money line. That's all I'm saying. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Jackson Holzer, Locked On Syracuse. That's Neil Adler from Inside the Loud House. We just went over what Syracuse needs to improve heading into this Vegas Players Era tournament, which is the free throw shooting, whether Adrian Autry wants to admit it or not. That is the biggest problem right now with Syracuse, and I would say in second place, probably the rebounding. We didn't really touch on that, or a little bit, but they're not a big team. They're going to have moments in these games where they're getting killed on the glass. At least make your free throws. But Neil, on Monday, can't believe we're already here. They're playing Houston.
Yeah.
I call that a test. I'm probably downplaying it too. You know what I love about this Vegas tournament is that we're about to find out what this Syracuse team is really made of. You have the Houston Cougars last year who were within one possession of winning a national championship. They're led by 2 incredible freshmen this year. They got multiple returning players across the board, and we know Houston's DNA. This is a team that is physical. This is a team that is in your face. This is different personnel, but a very similar type team to what Syracuse lost to in the 2021 NCAA Tournament Sweet 16 in the Houston Cougars when Syracuse got smothered. Neil, I would not be surprised if Syracuse couldn't even break 60 points against this Houston defense, but I'll throw it over to you. How do you think Syracuse matches up against Houston?
Yeah, and I think the score of that 2021 game was like 62-46. So Houston, and you're right, they do have two good freshmen among many other players, and one of them actually held a Syracuse scholarship offer back in the day, Chris Senek Jr. And then you've got Kingston Flemings, Emmanuel Sharp, among others. It's interesting because Houston doesn't shoot the ball well. They only shoot 43% from the field, and I think, let me look it up, almost 29% from deep, but they're better from free throw line than Syracuse, and they are a good rebounding team. Yeah, they're great on defense. I think up until their last game, they weren't giving up more than low 50s on average. Their last game, they snuck by Auburn. I think it was 73-72. But yeah, Syracuse, I think, is going to struggle to score. And if they're, again, it was encouraging against Monmouth that they shot 50% from the field. They shot 41% from three. Obviously, the free throw shooting is a separate thing. But it's going to be a defensive battle, and are the Syracuse, front court guys, are they going to get into foul trouble? Sadiq White had 5 fouls in 11 minutes against Monmouth, although a couple of them were a little questionable. But we'll see what William Kyle III and Akir Soare and Donnie Freeman are made of, and hopefully they have Betsey back. He plays the forwards, either forward spot. It's but again, Houston is not a real high scoring team. They're not a great shooting team. So for me, Syracuse is, yes, they got to hit their free throws. They got to force some turnovers and get out in transition, get some easy buckets that way. And they just got to be physical. They can't back down. I think it's also important. This is a neutral site game in Vegas. So, in terms of home crowd, I don't know who will have more fans there, but I think it's important for Syracuse to get off to a fast start. They're playing Houston up until this week was number 1 in the country. They fell behind Purdue after Purdue had a good win, I think, over Alabama. But Houston's number 2 in the country. And like you said, they should have, could have won the national championship last year, lost in the title game to Florida. So this is I don't think Syracuse players will be scared of Houston per se, but it's a daunting thing. And it's out in Vegas. They're not going to have the home crowd. And so they want to get off to a fast start, and they've got to hold their own on the boards. I don't think Syracuse is going to win, but I don't know. I'm holding out hope because, again, I don't think Houston is that great of an offensive team. And they're led by, well, they have some veterans, but they are led by a couple of freshmen too. So we'll see. It'll be interesting.
I think Nate Kingz is going to be very critical in this game.
He was good.
Finally, Nate Kingz was pretty much as advertised in this game against Monmouth. And it's, I feel like I have to say this every single time we talk about Nate Kingz. I appreciate that he can do other things on the court besides shoot the basketball.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that he can play good defense.
Rebound.
I appreciate he can put the ball on the floor and he can go to the rim. I get all that stuff. Mm-hmm. He can run out in transition. Very cool. Mm-hmm. He's a good player. But at the end of the day, he's got to be able to shoot.
Absolutely.
This is someone who was brought into Syracuse to shoot the basketball. He shot 45% on high volume at Oregon State last year. Yeah. So the first 3 games were not very encouraging for Nate Kingz. Right. But against Monmouth, maybe he found something. He was 3 of 7 from the 3-point line, well over 40%. That's what you're looking for.
Right.
But even then, against this Houston team, and maybe this is unfair to Nate Kingz, I don't even think 3 of 7 would be enough. I think this is one of those games where you're going to need someone on Syracuse to get hot from deep. Yeah. Whether that's Nate Kingz, whether that's Tyan Anthony, excluding the free throws.
Nate George has been shooting pretty well from deep.
Nate George, someone pick one. Someone on Syracuse is going to have to hit 5 to 6 threes.
Right. Yeah, I do. That's a great point, Jackson. I do feel like, I feel like with this team in a lot of games, maybe that, they don't necessarily need to be overly reliant on threes. I think it's more about, doing well in the half court game, pounding the ball inside, making free throws, but then also scoring a lot in transition. But I do feel like against Houston, given their smothering defense and they could force a lot of turnovers, I feel like 3-pointers are going to be more critical. I don't know. Maybe that's just a gut feeling. So I would agree with you. Yeah. They need to, I don't want them to take bad threes. I want them to have good looks from deep, but they might need to, because I feel like against Monmouth, they were 7 of 17. So they didn't take a ton of them. And I would rather, by and large, they're a team that's efficient from three, but isn't like super reliant on it. But against Houston, they're going to need to make some threes. Yeah.
It's going to be a game. The only two ways that Syracuse has a chance really is get out in transition, get easy points, don't allow Houston to set its defense.
Agreed.
And number two, you got to hit threes.
Yeah.
You got to make them. And to your point, we're not asking Syracuse to start launching deep contested three-pointers early in the shot clock. Exactly. We're sitting here saying, when you get an open three-point look, because it will happen, Houston's not exactly perfect here. They're good, but they're not perfect. You need to make them. Like you can't have – there was a sequence against Monmouth where – hard to pick on Nate Kingz because he actually shot the ball well, but you had a sequence of Nate Kingz and Nathan George have consecutively practice three-point attempts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were straight up practice three-point attempts from the left wing, and both of them missed.
Yeah.
Against Houston, you cannot miss. When you get a look where nobody is within 10 feet of you, it has to go in. There is no excuse. There is no, well, it just didn't fall today. Like, you're not going to have a chance against Houston if you're not making those shots.
Yeah, I agree. Jackson, it was like super late, and I'm old, so like I was like nodding off during the game. But did it feel like Syracuse's half-court offense against Monmouth was kind of like, I don't know, stagnant, kind of blah, just not like, I just like it when they're like moving the ball and setting screens and, pick and rolls or, like whatever. It just didn't seem like there was a lot of stuff there. It seemed like, I don't know if it was a lot of ISO and like it was too, I don't know. It just didn't like they need to have like a crisp offense, half court off. Like, again, transition is one thing, but against Houston, crisp offense with lots of good passing so they can get some nice threes. And they definitely need to crash the offensive boards. Donnie, William Kyle, Saware, Sadiq. Yeah, I agree.
I have a feeling that Syracuse's offense against Monmouth is going to be very similar against Houston.
It could
because Houston is a very good defensive team.
They are.
It's not necessary. They make even the best teams in the country look a little bit out of sorts. You want to talk about the national championship last year? Florida was lighting up everyone on fire up until that game against Houston in the final minutes.
Yeah, that was a great game. Yeah.
Final minutes, Florida woke up, and I was very happy about it. But for 38 minutes of that game, Florida couldn't do anything against that Houston defense.
Yeah.
So I am not expecting a win. I am hoping that they can keep it competitive.
Yeah, exactly.
And not only keep it competitive, but actually have the score reflect it. There was a game I remember against Tennessee. It was a couple years ago in Maui where they were very competitive in that game, but they ended up losing by 15 points, something like that.
They had a couple games, that was 2 years ago, where they like, I think against Gonzaga too in that tournament, where they were like within 6 or 8 in the, the second half of the second half, and it ended up getting blown open. Yes. Keep it close. Like, no moral victories, but like, if you're going to lose, like, keep it close throughout. And like, exactly, like, lose by 6 points, then lose by 4 points, lose at the buzzer. Don't end up losing by 18.
I'm with you on that. And that being said, if you're Syracuse, I hope you just didn't hear us say that, because your mindset needs to be
win the game.
Win the game.
Win the game.
Go win the game. The mindset cannot be let's try to lose by 5, because if you go into that mindset, you're going to lose by 50.
And the winner of that tournament, I'm pretty sure all the teams in that tournament get $1 million, I believe.
You're right.
But I believe the winner gets a second, like $2 million for NIL. Like, go win the tournament.
I don't think that. I'll tell you what. I think Syracuse is going to get screwed even if they win 2 games, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because I was reading through it today, and the way the bracket is set up, there's going to be more than 2-2-0 teams.
Right.
So the way that they're going to have to separate it is by point differential. Syracuse is playing Houston. So even if they were to win, what do you think the odds are that they win that game by a big margin?
Yeah, no, they'd win by.
If they win, it's going to be, holy smokes, Nathan George with a half-court buzzer beater at the end.
Yeah, I wouldn't see them winning by more than like 4 to 6 points. Nah,
you're going to get screwed on point differential even if you go 2-0. That being said, if you go 2-0, and we'll talk about the second game in just a moment here, we're going to be pretty freaking pumped.
Yeah, regardless.
That's what's going to happen. We're going to be really excited about this team going forward here.
Yeah.
And coming up, we'll talk about Syracuse's next opponent in Kansas, which is going to be on Tuesday after the Houston game. And Kansas is maybe a little bit beatable. So stick with us here on Locked On Syracuse. So after Syracuse plays Houston on Monday, win, lose, or draw, we know who Syracuse will play next Tuesday, and that is Kansas. Now, on the surface, you would think that this is a very tough game, and I'm not here to sit here and downplay that it won't be a tough game for Syracuse, and quite frankly, Syracuse does not deserve to take any opponent lightly, given their recent track record right now. But Darryn Peterson, a star freshman for Kansas, did not play against Duke the other day. I don't know if he's going to be able to go in Vegas. So if Darryn Peterson can't go for Kansas, all of a sudden this really does become a winnable game for Syracuse. So Neil, instead of asking you how do you think Syracuse matches up against Kansas, do you think that this is a must-win game for Syracuse?
It's so hard to talk about like must wins this early in the season. I don't think it's a must win in terms of like if they lose to Houston and Kansas, maybe they get a win in their third game. Like even if they go 1-2 in Vegas, like is their season over? Are they not making the NCAA? You know, all that. I don't think it's for that. I think it's more up here. They need to show that they can play with these top teams and that they can play with these top teams either on the road or at neutral sites, not just, you know, home, although their home record isn't always great in recent years either. Kansas has 2 losses already. They lost to North Carolina, and they lost on Tuesday night in the Champions Classic to Duke. And to your point, Darryn Peterson didn't play against Duke. He didn't play against Princeton over the weekend. He held a Syracuse offer back in the day. I don't know how, you know, involved Syracuse was with him, but he, at least, I feel like he was number 1 in the 2025 class, according to at least one recruiting service. It was either him or the guy from BYU, and obviously the Boozer guy was up there from Duke. But I think Kansas, frankly, is beatable even with Darryn Peterson. That doesn't mean Syracuse is going to beat the Jayhawks, and you never want to take Kansas lightly. Bill Self's teams, come on. But let's say that Syracuse loses to Houston. Okay, and maybe they put up a good fight and they lose by less than 10 points. And then they play Kansas and Darryn Peterson isn't there. I think thinking about it more, Jackson, I feel like it is kind of a must win. And again, in terms of they don't have Darryn Peterson, this is an opportunity to beat. Well, Kansas might not be ranked at that point because they, the new poll, but to beat an elite program at a neutral site. Now, obviously, the committee and all they look at with Peterson's not playing and all that stuff. But again, for Syracuse's like kind of mental psyche, it would be a really important win for them. And we don't know the third team, and then they've got Tennessee after that, but they can't go 0-4 in this stretch, brother. Like that's the bottom. That is a must. If we talk about like musts in terms of their psyche, in terms of their postseason resume, this is the non-conference portion of it. Obviously, they can't go 0-4 in that 3-game stretch plus Tennessee. That's what I would say. Yeah,
I will sign up for 2-2 right now.
Yeah, no, totally.
I'll sign up for it. Whether it's
totally.
So it's the first 2 games in Vegas that we know.
Yeah.
The third game, which we don't know, but there will be a third game.
And the field is loaded.
ACC SEC Challenge against Tennessee. Those 4 games, if you go 2-2, and then you coast the rest of the way in your non-conference,
you're 11-2.
You're 11-2 heading into conference.
That's good.
You're in decent shape.
Absolutely.
Because I think that the ACC is better this year. So your record is going to be a little bit more respectable than what it was last season in the eyes of the committee.
Agreed.
Meaning, if you can win around 20 regular season games,
you'll be in the hunt.
You may have a shot at making the tournament, whereas last year, winning 20 games for ACC teams, I mean, they just didn't have a chance.
Yeah,
they really
and as you know, they're playing 2 less ACC. They're playing 13 non and then 8. Yeah, so I agree. If they were 11-2 in the non-conference, they go to Duke, they go to Louisville. I can't remember if they go to NC State or not, but they have North Carolina home and home. They have Virginia. Miami might be pretty good. We'll see. 11-2 would be great. 11-2 would be great. I don't know if that's wishful thinking or not. Is that realistic? Do you think that's realistic?
I think it is somewhat realistic, but it's going to be very, very challenging because here's the thing. I'm looking at KenPom right now. Kansas is sitting at Thursday or not. That was a really weird sentence. I need to wipe that away from my mind. Kansas
30
is sitting at 30.
Okay.
In KenPom right now. Now, let me look at where Syracuse is.
They were like 58 before the Monmouth game.
No, they were 48. But now they're 53. They didn't drop as much as you think.
I thought they were more, yeah.
You can win that game, Syracuse. You're allowed to beat a good team that's ranked ahead of you. We're not asking, I mean, it would be nice, but we're not asking Syracuse to go out and beat Houston.
Right.
Can you beat Kansas? Can you especially beat Kansas if they don't have Darryn Peterson?
Yeah.
Like, they are not an unbeatable team. This is not Kansas where they're top 5 in the nation and they're going to win their conference easily. This is a beatable Kansas team.
Yeah, no, they're absolutely. Yeah, they got another former Syracuse recruiter on their roster, Marco Jackson. Yeah, but no, they're okay. I mean, they're a decent team, but they shoot 49% from the field, 33% from 3. But they're definitely beatable. They're beatable, but they have talent. Like, I don't want even without Darryn Peterson, it's not like this would be a cakewalk for Syracuse.
No.
So yeah,
I'm not expecting. I wasn't like, oh yeah, now that they don't have Darryn Peterson, let's blow out. No, let's just win the game. Let's just win. Let's get a nice, good win against a still pretty
solid
decent
team.
Kansas team
that
we know is going to be in the NCAA tournament.
Sure.
They'll figure it out. It's Kansas. Right. They got too much talent. Yeah. They'll eventually probably get back Darryn Peterson.
Right.
And so it's kind of a way for Syracuse to steal a cheap resume building win. Because how many people are actually going to remember when we're talking about tournament resumes in March that Darryn Peterson did not play in that Syracuse game? How many people are actually going to remember?
Syracuse fans won't really care. It's Kansas fans are going to, obviously, when they get close to March Madness, it will be like, okay, well, the committee needs to, look at our record with Peterson, without Peter, like that. But Syracuse fans, no, we beat Kansas. Yay. That's part of our resume. Great. And we want, frankly, I want Peterson to play, because I feel like if Syracuse beats Kansas with Peterson playing, it's like better for their resume. But if he doesn't play and they win, I ain't going to cry about that either.
You know what? I don't wish injury upon anyone. So I do genuinely hope that he does play.
Right. Right.
But if he doesn't play,
they got to take advantage of that.
It's not my problem. Like, take advantage of it. Go win the game. Like, go win. This is your
Starling missed a few games. He missed 7 games last year. Donnie missed.
Nobody cried over Syracuse last year when J.J. Starling didn't play and Donnie Freeman missed half the season.
Yeah,
go win. This is your opportunity now.
Yeah,
Darryn Peterson is one of probably the 5 best players in the nation. He may not play against Syracuse. If he's not playing, Syracuse needs to win that game. Great. You want to prove that you're a tournament team, beat a Kansas team that's already lost twice.
Yeah.
Without Darryn Peterson.
Yeah.
Because if you can't beat Kansas without Darryn Peterson, I'm going to really start downing Syracuse. Like, I'm sorry. I'm just going to sit here and say, you know what? I understand Kansas has talent. I understand Kansas is a good team. But if you want to be a tournament team, you got to beat good teams.
You know who I didn't – I was just going to say, I just happened to look this up. You know who they played in their first game out in Vegas?
Who?
Kansas? Notre Dame. That's interesting. Interesting, right? I'll definitely be curious about that. Yeah.
I'm going to be like Curious George on that one. But can we talk about the draw for a second here? How is it that Kansas gets Notre Dame and Syracuse? Meanwhile, we get Houston and Kansas.
I don't know. I mean, part of it is it's not like your traditional tournament. It's like they don't the bracket, like they have to do it in a certain way. So they, it's considered a multi-team event, and I don't know all this stuff because they're giving away NIL money, or not giving away, but there's NIL funds. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm fascinated by who Syracuse will play third. I'm hoping for St. John's. Isn't St. John's in it?
They are, I think. And
I just want to see them play Rick Pitino. Like, whatever.
You mean the guy who should have been coaching Syracuse?
Right.
Oh, sorry, had to go there. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just going to let people in on a little secret.
Yeah.
They were never going to hire Rick Pitino.
Never.
It was never going to happen.
That was not
because they were never going to let go of Jim Boeheim to go hire another old head coach. Whether it's the right move, whether it was the wrong move, in hindsight, it was definitely the wrong move not to hire him.
Wow.
They were never going to do it. It was never a remote possibility of it happening. They were never going to consider doing it. And no, that's no disrespect to Adrian Autry, who could have a fabulous year this season. I'm rooting for him.
It's
but
you know, trying to compare him to Rick Pitino, who's won multiple titles. Yeah, it's just like not. Yeah, but they weren't.
Neil, any last thoughts?
No, I just, we'll see if Betsey's back, and should be fun out in Vegas. And like you said, I hope they go 2-2 in their next 4 games. That's it.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Folks.
Yeah.
Tyler Betsey, if he plays against Houston, Syracuse wins. If he doesn't, Syracuse loses. Neil, where can people find you on social media?
Thanks, brother. I'm at Damn Twin on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. And Inside the Loud House is at Loud House FS. And I appreciate you having me on as always, brother.
Awesome, man. I hope to get you on next week to talk more about Syracuse and maybe recap this week, out in Vegas. And who knows, maybe Syracuse is going to be playing on Thanksgiving. So hopefully they don't have too much turkey before the game. Hopefully they save the turkey for after the game. But anyways, that's Neil Adler from Inside the Loud House. Jackson Holzer here from Locked On Syracuse, of course. Coming up on Locked On Syracuse in the near future on Saturday, Syracuse football has a football game at Notre Dame. They're starting Joe Filardi. We will have a post-game reaction podcast here on Locked On Syracuse. I'm going to make a prediction right now, since I don't think I'm going to be doing it for the rest of the week. I think that Notre Dame is going to win that game 45-3. Your thought?
42-10.
Wow. We're going to score twice.
Filardi did have a touchdown in his last outing, didn't he?
He did in garbage time. You know what? It counts. It counts. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for listening. Click that like button. Click that subscribe button. We'll see you all again soon.